In this particular video, we are going to discuss IIBF IT Security 25 October 2025 memory based question along with explanation. So friends, I have also created one more video of previous year memory based question discussion. If you have not watched that, please see the description section. I have added the link. So in this particular lecture, we will see what type of question have appeared, what are the important topics. I will explain each and every option, why some option is correct, how to eliminate the option. Everything you will get to know if you go through this entire video. So let's get started with our first question. This question is related to RAID. So the question was like this: which RAID level provide both high performance and high fault tolerance by first mirroring disk and then stripping across the mirrored pair, but require at least 4 disks and offer only 50% usable capacity? Option they have given: RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 10. So this is the protection available. So the first one is mirroring, right? The first protection is mirroring, and the second protection we have is striping. So you know what is mirroring? So it is like, taking a photocopy, right? You are taking photocopy of every pages. And what is a striping? It's like, dividing chapter between two chapter, dividing chapters, right? Between two scribes, right? Why? To write faster. So you know what RAID 10 does? RAID 10 does both together. Both these things are done together by the RAID 10, right? So first thing is mirroring, right? So what is the meaning of mirroring? So mirroring, mirroring means every disk has its twin, right? Mirroring means, every disk has its twin. That is called mirroring. Okay. So an exact copy. If one disk fail, that twin keep everything safe. And the second thing that is done is striping. Striping means now these mirrored pair are arranged so that data is split across them. So whatever mirrored pair are there, they are arranged. Why they are arranged? So they are arranged because data is split across them. Data is split across them. That's why they are arranged, right? So this make, reading and writing much faster. So what you get? You get higher speed, you get high fault tolerance. So see, because of this striping, you get high speed. And also you get high fault tolerance because of the mirroring. So mirroring is also happening, right? So mirroring, because of the mirroring, what you are getting? So because of mirroring, you are getting high fault tolerance, right? Fault tolerance. And also because of striping, you are getting high speed. So why it need at least 4 disks? One more thing is that it need at least 4 disks. So 2 disks are needed for one mirror pair, right? 2 disks are needed for one mirror pair and another 2 disks are needed for second mirror pair, right? And these pair are striped. These pair are striped, right? So minimum 4 disks are required. As you can see, minimum 4 disks are required. Now next point is 50% usable capacity. 50% usable capacity. So what does it mean? So half the disk are used only to store copies, right? Half disk are used to store copies, right? Suppose you have 4 terabyte total. So only 2 terabyte will be usable. So now let's see the option that they have given you: RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5, RAID 10, RAID 10. So what do you think? So if you talk about RAID 0, so it is used only for striping. It is super fast and zero fault tolerance. No fault tolerance. Right? If one disk dies, everything gone. Then we have RAID 1. So RAID 1 is only for mirroring. Right? High safety. It ensures high safety. And also no speed boost from striping. And still 50% capacity. 50% capacity. What about RAID 5? RAID 5 includes both striping plus parity, right? And good balance. Obviously it has a good balance, right? But are not as fast or as fault tolerance as RAID 10. The correct answer is RAID 10, right? So as we have discussed, RAID 10, what is happening here? That 1 then 0, right? So first of all, what it does mirroring first. After mirroring, they stripe, right? So 10 is, now you can remember it like this: 10 is now base of 1 plus base of 0. This way you can remember. So RAID 1 is regarding the safety. So if you talk about safety point of view, then RAID 1. RAID 0 is regarding the speed, super fast. And RAID 10 is both combined. Speed and safety both are combined. So what we learned from this discussion is that, whenever we talk about RAID, it combines both the elements. What are the elements? Mirroring and striping, right? And it required minimum 4 disks. Minimum 4 disks are required. It provides high performance and high fault tolerance. And I told you, only 50% is the usable capacity. Of the total capacity are usable. I hope this is clear. RAID 0, high speed. RAID 1, basically this is for, if we talk about RAID 1, this is for, safety. And RAID 10, combination of both. Now the next question is, what type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies core operation, system component, such as kernel module or system call, right? So which type of rootkit is considered the most difficult to detect? That's the question. Option they have mentioned you, user model, kernel model, memory rootkit or bootnet, right? So that is the question. Now friends, let's talk about this. So you can think of this operating system. So this question pertains to the operating system. You can think of the operating system like a multi-story building. You can think of the operating system like, multi-story building, right? So the top floor, it very well, OS layer we are talking about operating system. So top floor is what? So top floor is the user area. When I say user area, it means, apps, programs, etc. And when you see the basement, that is system core. That is system core, and that is what we call kernel. Now imagine a thief is hiding. Imagine that this is a multi-story building and there is a thief. There is a thief who is hiding. If he hide on the top floor, suppose he hide on the top floor, what will happen? Security can catch him easily. He will get catch easily. By whom? By security. But if he digs a tunnel into the basement, suppose he digs a tunnel in the basement, right? He can control doors, he can control cameras, he can control alarms, everything. So that is what kernel model rootkit does. So over here the key point is, kernel model rootkit, right? So that is what it does. What it does, it enters the deepest and the most powerful part of the operating system, that is called kernel, right? So it can do in the kernel, it can secretly modify the kernel module system called device driver. So this let it hide process, hide file, hide register entry, turn off antivirus, hide other malware. Basically, it becomes the boss of the operating system. It becomes boss of the operating system, right? So another question is why it is hard to detect. Yeah, this is a very pertinent question. Why it is hard to detect? So you know it very well because antivirus tool depends on the kernel to tell them the truth, right? So this antivirus tools depends on the kernel. Why? To tell the truth, right? So, but if the kernel itself is infected, suppose kernel is infected, what will happen? It can lie, and it can hide the malware. First of all, it will lie, it will hide the malware, and it will pretend that everything is clean. So that is why, kernel model rootkit are considered among the most dangerous and hardest to remove. Even removing them incorrectly can cause system crash, corrupted OS, and complete boot failure. Now let's come back to this question. So the question is, this is regarding the, rootkit only. So the option they have, question was, which type of rootkit considered the most difficult to detect and remove because it modifies the core operating system? So the answer is, kernel model rootkit. Right? What about option A, user model rootkit? Actually, it works in the user space. As I told you, the top floor. Right? It works in the user space, and it has limited power. And antivirus can see it more easily. So it can be easily be detected by the antivirus. Right? Much easier to remove. And if you talk about the memory rootkit, just remember it. So, this live only in RAM, random access memory. Disappear after rebooting. After you reboot it, it will disappear. And it is not persistent like a kernel model. What about bootkit? So bootkit, it in fact boots loader or firmware. It in fact boots loader or what, firmware get infected. Right? Very persistent, but it does not modify kernel runtime behavior the way kernel model does. So the final answer to this question is option number B. So one way to remember it like this, let me give you a way to remember. You can think of this kernel as a king, right? A rootkit in the kernel become king of the system. So this rootkit, this rootkit become the king of the system, right? So controlling everything. K for kernel, K for Kamina, hard to catch. Just a word to remember, right? Just a fun recall line for a student. K for kernel, K for Kamina, right? So kernel model rootkit lives in ring number 0. If you talk about the OS layer, just remember it lies in the ring number 0. That is the OS layer, operating system layer. It can modify system call, driver, kernel module. It can hide file, it can hide process, logs and other malware. It is very hard to detect because it controls what the OS report. Wrong removal can crash the system. User modification examination in IT and security. So if you want unit-wise lecture of the entire syllabus as per the IIBF, you can check out our course on certification examination in IT security. You can see we have divided the entire syllabus in 4 modules, module A, B, C and D. If you go through module A, so there are unit-wise classification, like module A have unit 1 to unit 8 PDF, and inside each folder you will get one theory PDF, one MCQ PDF. So theory folder consists of all the important theory related to that particular topic in the point wise format, as you can see, and similarly MCQs cover all the possible MCQs based on those theory. So this will help you revise the entire content in very easy manner. And separately also we have added a separate folder for previous year question paper, so that you can check out the memory based question with just eye and smart observation, right? So what attacker try to steal? Attacker try to steal the ATM pin, mobile unlock pattern, password, credit debit card detail, OTP you type, email login credential. They may stand close, or they may use reflection, small cameras, binocular from distance, right? So typical place where shoulder surfing is being done, like ATM, you can see ATM, airport where waiting areas, cafes, cyber cafe, train station, offices with public cubicle. So if you look at the other option that we have, the first one they have given is phishing. What do you think about phishing? So basically, phishing is fake email or website, right? They trick victim into clicking or entering the data. That is called phishing. It is not visual observation. Here the point is visual observation, right? So phishing is not, visual observation, first thing. Second thing is they have mentioned is key logging. So key logging is the software or hardware that record key strokes, right? These are software or hardware. Basically, they record the key strokes. Okay, so they require malware or a physical device, not what someone type. And if you talk about the smishing, so smishing is SMS based phishing. SMS based phishing, fake text message asking for detail, no visual spying involved. So please remember, shoulder surfing means someone looking often over your shoulder. If someone is too close, your information goes, right? So that is what shoulder surfing is all about. It means stealing information by watching your screen or watching your keypad. A low-tech social engineering attack, very less technology is used, and social engineering attack it happen in public place where when people type the sensitive information. It does not require any hacking tool, right? Please remember these points. Now have a look at the next one. The next question is on your screen. Which of the following best describe a seeming attack in cyber security? So the question is all about seeming attack in cyber security. Option they have given that it uses social engineering to trick user into revealing password through fake login page. B says it inserts a thin layer of malicious code between software component or system interface to intercept or alter the data. C says it rely on brute force encryption key using high performing computer. And D says it in fact the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So what this seeming attack is all about. So let me give you one example to make it more clear. Imagine that two friends are there. Two friends are passing note in a class. Two friends are passing notes in a class. Now what happened? Person A, he write the message, and person B, he receive it. Person A write, person B receive. Now think of an attacker who quietly slip a thin transparent sheet between them. So now the third person come, who is an attacker, and what he does, he slips a transparent sheet. He slips a transparent sheet between them. So this particular sheet, they can read the note, or they can change the note, or they can copy it, right, without either friend knowing them. So that particular thin sheet is what we call, SIM. So that thin sheet is called SIM. So in cyber security, a seeming attack work exactly like that. So that thin sheet which the attacker slips between them is called SIM. And in cyber security, shimming attack work exactly like that. Now the question is, what actually happened in the case of shimming attack? So attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code between an application and the operating system, an app and an API, system call and lower level component, right? So between the application, what it does, between the application and operating system, they attack, basically attacker insert a thin layer of malicious code between the app and the API. Right, they insert a thin layer of malicious code between the system call and low level component. Similar thing is inserted. So the middle layer pretend to be normal, but secretly intercept the data, modify the data, steal the sensitive information, changes how the software behave. It looks legitimate and mimic the normal system component. So why it works so well? Because SIM were created by Microsoft for compatibility fixes. Yes, Microsoft itself created the SIM. Microsoft created the SIM for what? For compatibility fix. Right. So meaning that Windows already expects SIM. Antivirus tools sometimes trust them. Malicious SIM blend into the system. Right. So this make them stealthy, effective and hard to catch. So we have different kinds of simming like software simming, hardware simming, that is called simmering, APT level simming. That's different thing. So let's look at the option that they have given you. So option number A says that using a social engineering to trick user into revealing password. That is called, phishing. That is not called simming, that's called phishing. It uses fake email, fake website, no code insertion, no layer between component. So option A is wrong. What about B? Yes, B is the correct one. B is the correct one. What about C? It rely on brute force encryption key using high performance computing. Actually, this is regarding the brute force encryption key. So basically it uses high computational power. This is not related to inserting layer or intercepting the layer. So C is not the correct answer. What about D? It infects the bootloader or firmware to survive OS reinstallation. So that is called, Rootkit. This is called Rootkit. So they infect the bootloader or firmware. They help malware survive OS reinstallation. So option number D is also wrong, right? So the final answer to this question is option number B. So you can think of this SIM as, you can think of this SIM as thin middle layer. Thin middle layer, right? So whenever you hear simming, think about a sneaky layer inserted in the middle to spy or to modify, right? So what we learned from this discussion is that, simming means adding a thin malicious layer between the system component. And it is used to intercept, modify or steal the data. They mimics the legitimate system fix, harder to detect. Please remember this point. Now the second question they have mentioned is that, basically which of the following statement best describe the purpose of COBIT framework developed by ISACA, right? So option they have mentioned, it is a technical cyber security standard focusing only on network security control. It is a global framework for IT governance that align enterprises IT process with business goal. It is certification program used solely for cloud computing audit. And D says it is a tool designed only for vulnerability scanning and penetration testing. So the question revolves around, purpose of the COBIT. And who developed this COBIT? COBIT framework developed by ISACA. That's the question. So basically you can think of it, let me give you one example to make it more crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a big machine, right? So you can think of the company like a big machine. So the business side want, business side want profit, business side want growth, business side want risk reduction, cyber security. And the IT side, IT side, they work with system. IT side, they work with system, they work with server, they work with control, they work with data and cyber security. Often these two don't speak the same language. Business side want profit growth, less risk, and IT side work with system, data and, basically server, data, cyber security. And both the side don't speak the same language. So COBIT act like a translator and supervisor. So between these two, on one side we have business, on one side we have IT. So in between them, COBIT act like a translator and supervisor, helping both the side work together. So it tells an organization how to govern IT, how to manage IT, how to make sure that IT actually support the business goal, and how to measure performance, how to optimize risk versus value. So all these things can be known from the COBIT. That is why COBIT is used worldwide. It ensures that IT is not just running, but running with purpose. So two words are there. One word is just running, and the other word is, other word is running with purpose. So basically, this is what is ensured. Running with purpose is ensured, right? So COBIT provide 40 governance and management objectives arranged under 5 main domains: EDM, APO, BAI. Let me just write it down. So COBIT, they just provide how many? 40, actually 40 governance and management, 40 governance and management objectives are there, right? And under 5 major domains. The first one is EDM. EDM means, evaluate, direct and monitor. Second one is APO. APO means align, plan, organize. Third one is BAI, which is build, acquire, implement. Fourth one is DSS, which is deliver service support. Fifth one is MEA. MEA means, monitor, evaluate, access. So COBIT integrate with other framework like ISO, ITIL, NIST. Now if you look at the other option that we have, so option number A says, technical network security standard. It's saying technical cyber security standard. Actually, this is wrong, because COBIT is not about only cyber security or network. It is broad. It is focused on governance, not just technical control, right? It is not limited to technical cyber security. It is just, broad. In the broad sense, it's focused on governance. It is focused on governance and not just technical control. What about option B? Option B is the correct one. It is a global framework that aligns IT need process with business goal. Exactly. Linking both of them, right? Then it's talking about the certification program, as you can see. No. Actually, ISSCA does not offer certification, right? But COBIT itself is not a certification. ISSCA does offer certification. ISSCA offers certification like, CISA, like, CISM, like, CRISC. So these are the certification courses which are offered by ISSCA. But the COBIT is not a certification. What about option D? It says a tool. Pen testing or vulnerability tool. It is always saying penetrating or, vulnerability tools. Actually, COBIT does not scan vulnerabilities or perform penetration. It guides how IT should be governed and managed. So the final answer is option number B. Yes, B is the correct one. So just remember one trick I tell you to remember this COBIT. It is just like this, because COBIT question is asked every year. So you must know what is a COBIT. Control objective for information and related technology. So control plus business plus technology, right? This way you can remember control plus business plus technology, right? So control objective for information and related technology. It helps control IT, and so it support the business. And one more thing is that COBIT is IT governance GPS. This way you can also remember IT governance GPS. This is what COBIT is all about. So what we learned is that, from this discussion is that basically COBIT is ISSCA global IT governance framework. It aligns IT process with business goal. It provides 40 objectives and 5 domains are there. So these are the 5 domains. The name is written here: EDM, APO, BAI, DSS, MEA. It is not a certification, not a technical tool, not limited to just cyber security. Now one more question I think is based on COBIT and ICSA. Let's have a look. So the question is, which COBIT domain is responsible for serving, setting a strategic decision, ensuring value delivery, and monitoring risk or monitoring compliance, basically performing the core governance role in the framework. That is what the question is. APO, align, plan and organize. BAI, build, acquire and implement. Evaluate, direct and monitor. EDM, and monitor, evaluate and access. MEA. So friends, let's try to understand. You can think of the company like a cricket team. So let me give you just one example to make it crystal clear. So you can think of the company like a cricket team. Someone must evaluate the team needs, right? What are the requirement of the teams? What are the strength of the teams? What are the weakness of the team? Evaluation must be done, right? So, and someone must direct which player to pick, how to strategize, right? So it also be decided that which player to pick, how to strategize, and someone must monitor whether performance is actually improving or not. Basically, someone is required for all these 3 activities. So the top level selection making is exactly what EDM does in COBIT. Please understand. So here we are focused on, top level decision making. So who does it? Basically, it is exactly what EDM does. In the case of, COBIT. Decide what direction IT should follow. Yes. So EDM decide, let me just write it down. What EDM does, it decide the direction. It decides the direction. It ensures that IT deliver values to whom? To the business. EDM ensure. It monitors the risk. It monitors the performance. Yeah, and it also monitor the compliance. So it sit at the top layer above all the management activity. So it evaluate, it direct, it monitors. Evaluate what? Evaluate, understand the stakeholder needs. Review strategic option, identify risk and opportunity. That's what it evaluation. Direct means what? Set IT strategy, prioritize investment, and monitor means track the performance, ensure compliance, check risk level. So if you look at the other option that we have, APO. APO means align, plan, and organize. This is the management domain. This is the management domain. It converts a strategy into plan, budget structure, but it does not set high level governance structure. That's why A is wrong. What about B? BAI, build, acquire, and implement. It handles project delivery, system development, and change management. It focuses on execution, not the governance. What about EDM? Yes, EDM is the correct one. Evaluate, direct, and monitor. Right. EDM is executive decision making, or the top bosses deciding the direction. Evaluate, direct, and monitor. That is what EDM is all about. And the last option they have mentioned is MEA. No, that's wrong. Monitor, evaluate, and assess is wrong. Because performing audit, performance check, and compliance assessment does monitoring, but only on management activity, not a strategic direction. So what we learned from this discussion is that EDM is the only governance domain in COBIT. In the COBIT, the only governance domain, which is the only governance domain in COBIT, this is EDM. Just remember it. Right. EDM is the only governance domain in COBIT. It set a strategy, it ensures value delivery, it monitor risk and compliance. APO, BAI, DSS, MEA, they are management, not governance. And COBIT always separate governance from management. I already told you. Two things are there. One thing is governance, other thing is management. COBIT also always maintain the separation between these two elements. And EDM is it ensures value delivery, monitor risk and compliance. All these tasks are performed by EDM. Now have a look at the next question. The question is, which testing technique is most commonly associated with black box testing? Yes, this is the question. Black box testing. Because it focuses on testing the boundaries of input ranges where defects frequently occur. So black box testing is all about. So option they have given, basically code coverage analysis, boundary value analysis, static code review, and control flow testing. So which testing technique is linked with black box testing? Before we jump into the answer, let's understand this is the simplest way possible. So I'm providing you just one example to make it clear what this black box testing is all about. Think of the software input. So just a way to remember this black box input testing. You can think of the software input like a door. And most people expect problem to happen inside the house. But actually, the door, or we can say the boundary, either you call it the door or you call it the boundary, right, is where the most mistake happen. Most mistake happen at the door or the boundary. For example, if a form asks you to enter age between 18 and 60, the risky point are 17, the risky point are 18 minimum, risky point are 60, risky point are 61. So these ages, these boundaries are where developer often make small mistakes, right? Here developer often make small mistakes at these ages or boundary. So what tester does, the tester, they use a special technique. Tester use a special technique to check these critical age point. To check these critical age point, tester use a special technique. And that technique is what we call, boundary value analysis. This is called, boundary value analysis. So this is a classical, or in short we call it, BVA. This is the classical black box testing method because the tester does not need to know the code. They only care about the input range and its limit. So they have nothing to do with the code. They only care about what? They only care about the input range and its limit. That's why if you look at the option that they have given you, option is a code coverage analysis. No. Yes, B is the correct one. Boundary value analysis. So if you look at the code coverage analysis, that is, white box technique. If the question is regarding the white box technique, that would be the answer. It measures how much code is executed during testing. C says a static code review. Actually, this is not black box at all. It requires reading the code manually. Here the tester see the code. So it is not a boundary based black box testing. What about control flow testing? Again, white box testing, right? It studies the flow or path of the program to the source code. So just way to remember it like this. Boundary break the app. Just remember it. boundary, what it does, it break the app, right? So boundary value analysis save the app. Range ka king BVA, or when where limit matter, BVA is the better, right? Useful for your English audience. So wherever limit is better, BVA is better. Limit matter, BVA will be better. So like if you look at the other option they have mentioned, just now I told you that black box means no code is seen, focus on the input. It just means you cannot see the code, you just focus on the input. Boundary value analysis test minimum, maximum and just around them. And most bug hide at the boundary, we know it very well. So BVA is super effective technique. Other option are white box or code based, not black box. Now the next question they have given is that, let me show you, that which spoofing technique manipulate network table on a local LAN so that the attacker can interpret or redirect traffic between devices by associating their MAC address. DNS spoofing, API, ARP spoofing, IP spoofing, email spoofing. Very good question. So basically to understand this easily, let's break it down. First of all, let's understand the basic concept and then we will go to the question. Imagine that you are in a society. Suppose that you live in a society and there are many flats, right? Each flat, suppose take the flat as IP address, right? Each flat belongs to a specific person. Each flat belongs to a specific person. That is called, MAC address. So flat IP address, flat you can treat like IP address and a specific person is like MAC address. Now imagine there is a thief who level his face as your flat number on the building list. Who level his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever the watchman send any delivery or communicate mean for you, it actually get delivered to the thief first. Right? Why? Because he level his face as your flat number on the building list. So whenever any person or any watchman or any he send any delivery or communication mean for you, it reaches the theft first. It will reach the theft first. This is exactly what happened in the ARP spoofing. ARP spoofing, right? That is called address resolution protocol. The full form is address resolution protocol. It mapped the IP address to MAC address. So it linked flat number to person name. In ARP spoofing, the attacker send fake ARP message and says, so what happened, in the ARP spoofing, address resolution protocol. What happened, ARP spoofing we are talking about. So in this case, what happened, that basically the attacker, suppose this is the attacker, and he sent the fake ARP message and says that, hey network, my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says that my MAC address is equal to victim IP address. He says so, right? Device believe this lie and update their ARP table. Now all the traffic meant for the victim goes to the attacker first. This allow man in the middle attack. You know about MITM attack? Yes, this allow it. This allow intercepting or modifying data, hijacking session, stealing password or cookies. And because ARP work only inside a local LAN, this attack is very common in Wi-Fi network. That's why the correct answer to this question is, option number B. That is called ARP spoofing. If you talk about the DNS spoofing, this redirect user to fake website by altering the DNS record. It redirect them into fake website. Right. What about IP spoofing? Here attacker fake the source of IP address. Right. In the packet. And what about email spoofing? So email spoofing, it is used in phishing. Right. It has nothing to do with the network table or ARP. It is used in phishing. So just remember, ARP means address replace protocol. Just way to remember it. Address replace protocol. Not real name but perfect for memory. Or MAC attack, that is ARP attack. Or ARP attack happen when Wi-Fi is local. Whenever Wi-Fi is local, public place, ARP attack will happen. So it is an address replace protocol, and MAC attack, that is ARP attack. So ARP connect IP to MAC on a local network. What it does, it connect IP to MAC on a local network. IP is just like I given you example, flat number, and MAC is your person living address. So it connect IP to the MAC, and ARP spoofing attacker lie about MAC address to steal the traffic. It is used for MITM, session hijack and data theft. Now, one question is based on match the following type. On one side, they have given you the OSI layer, and on the other side, we have given you the function. Like list A, OSI layer, presentation, transport, network, data link, and B, they have mentioned the function like route packet using logistic addressing, perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation, provide reliable, fast end-to-end delivery, handle framing, MAC addressing, and local error detection. So you have to link. The 4 options have been given: 1C, 2B, 3A, 4D, and likewise 4 options they have mentioned. How do you go about solving it? So friends, we need to match OSI layer with their correct function. So let's start with the presentation layer. So you can think of the presentation layer. You can think of the presentation layer as the translator, of the network world. Just like how you convert a movie file from MKV. Suppose you convert moving file from MKV to MP4, right? Or you unzip or zip a file, or you encrypt or decrypt a message. All of that work happen at the presentation layer. All these things happen at the presentation layer. So that you can think of it like translator. Now, transport layer. So let's just match it. So presentation layer is just, just I told you, translator. So which option thing? Routes packet, perform encryption, provide reliable fast to end, handle framing. So I think it will be B, perform encryption, decryption, and data format translation. Yes. So 1B. Now the second thing they have given is transport layer. So transport layer, like imagine that you are sending a courier, right? Imagine that you are sending a courier, right? So you want, reliable delivery. Obviously you want reliable delivery, and that is what is happening through transfer control protocol. You want fast delivery. So that is what is happening through UDP. So that is exactly what transport layer does. It ensures that your data reaches from source to destination with reliability, like TCP, and fast with speed, that is UDP. So if we link one with two, so you can see transport layer. So transport layer it is linked to what? It is linked to C. Transport layer will be linked to C. So what is C? Provide reliable fast end-to-end delivery, that is TCP UDP. So 2 linked to C. What about 3? 3 is the network layer. Network layer is routing with IP address, right? Route packet using logical addressing. So 3 will be linked to A, right? So 3 will be linked to A. If we talk about the network layer, so what network layer is all about? So network layer means Google map of the internet. Network layer is the Google map of the internet. It decides which route to take, using what logical address, it forward packet from one network to another through the router. So this is network number 1, this is network number 2, and it is forwarded through router, right? So that is what network layer is all about, routing with IP address. So 3 will be linked to routing packet using logical address IP. And the fourth one is data link layer. So data link layer means, this layer work on your local network, like your LAN, like your, Wi-Fi. This work on your local network like LAN or Wi-Fi. It does 3 things, like create frames. It use the MAC address to deliver the data. So data link layer, it create frame, it use MAC address, it check for basic logical error, right? So that is framing, MAC addressing, and local address detection. So that is what I think 4D. So the logic is BCAD. So BCAD, I think B number is correct. So just remember it. Just one way to remember it. Presentation, you can think of encryption. Presentation, you can think of encryption, right? Transport, you can think